Alright, my little math friends, here we are. We're moving into Chapter 10 now. Chapter 10 and 11 are going to be about data, collecting data. And the first thing we're going to look at is random samples of a population. This simply means something kind of like a survey. Okay, like if you wanted to ask a question of people to see what they thought, then that would be what this chapter is about. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at a couple different definitions we have. Alright, so here's the first one. When finding out information about an entire group or people, objects, or events, the entire group is called a population. Okay, this would be the group of people that we would be surveying. Okay, so for example, we recently just had a presidential election, and before the election, survey companies were calling people to find out which presidential candidate they were going to vote for. So the population that people in this category would be the voters, the people that were going to vote. Okay, then out of the population, we have something called a sample. Alright, a sample is part of the population chosen to represent the entire group. Okay, now obviously, companies that would run a survey can't ask all the voters in America who they're going to choose, so they might select maybe like 500 people to ask, 500 voters to ask who they would vote for, and they would use that to try and figure out what the population is going to do, what everyone is going to do. Okay, so here's like the most recent example I've been talking about, the presidential candidate election, where the population would be all voters. Okay, I'm going to put all right here, because it'd be all the voters, and then the sample from all the voters might just be 500 people to ask. Okay, 500 voters. Alright, and when using a sample, like these 500 voters, for example, if we were going to use a sample, they could either be a random sample, which would be like random people, or a biased sample, which is going to be a specific type of people. Okay, so let's take a look at this. If it's a random sample, this is a sample of the population where the people, objects, or events selected is representative of the entire population. Okay, so like these 500 voters would represent what everyone is going to do if it was a random sample, okay, a random group of people. Okay, a biased sample would be like one type of people. So the definition is when a sample of the population does not accurately represent the entire population. Okay, for example, this would be if a survey company was going to ask voters of a certain category who they were going to vote for. For example, let's say it was going to be 20 to 30-year-olds, okay, who were female and lived in Chicago. So if a survey company asked just this group of people who they wanted to vote for, and then said that everyone in America was going to vote the same way that they did, that would be a biased sample, because these people wouldn't really represent all the people all the voters all across America, because you have people living in different areas. This is just one specific age group, it's one gender, and it's people living in one place. Okay, so that would be an example of a biased sample where it's just one group of people that does not really accurately represent everybody in the entire group. Okay, let's look at some examples. This will become a little bit more clear. Okay, like I said, this lesson's a little different because we're not really doing so much math. We're just kind of looking at some different things. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We've got a couple of examples and see if we can identify which sample, okay, this is people, okay, which sample is random and which one is biased. Alright, so here's our first situation here. Roberto wants to know the favorite sport of adults in his hometown. He surveys 50 adults at a baseball game to find out what their favorite sport is. Okay, so the population that we have, the population he's surveying is adults in his hometown. Okay, so that's the population he wants to know about, adults living in his hometown. Is the sample biased? Yes, it is. Because obviously, if he's just asking 50 adults at a baseball game what their favorite sport is, most of those adults are going to say that it is baseball. Okay, and that would not represent the entire population because maybe there's other adults in his hometown that would like a different sport other than baseball. Alright, so that's an example of a biased sample population. Let's take a look at this other situation. Paula wants to know the favorite type of music for students in her class. She puts the names of all the students in a hat, draws 8 names, and surveys those students. Alright, first of all, what is the population? We're looking at students in her class. Alright, she wants to know what the favorite type of music is of students in her class. Is the sample biased? No. Okay, it is random because basically all the students in her class have an equal chance of being picked. Alright, there's an equal chance. Alright, it's not just boys, it's not just girls, it's not just one type of person or the other type of person. It's a random sample of her entire class. Alright, so let's look at something else. We could have samples that are biased, groups of people that would be biased or random. We also have questions that could be biased or random. Okay, so if we're going to look at the question type, sometimes it is not the sample that is biased, okay, not the group of people, but it can be the question asked. Okay, the question asked might not represent the entire population of what's going on. Okay, so we're going to take a look at each of the survey questions below to decide if the questions are biased or not. Alright, bias means it's trying to make people think in one direction. Okay, so here's our first situation here. In Madison County, residents were surveyed about a new skateboard park. Determine whether each survey question may be biased. Explain. Okay, so they're trying to get people to, if it's biased, they want them to choose one answer over another. Okay, so let's take a look at question A. If people were going to be asked question A, we want to know if they would be led to pick one answer over another. So here's the question. Would you like to waste the taxpayers' money to build a frivolous skateboard park? Okay, is the question biased? Yes, it is. And why is it biased? Because it leads people to pick the answer no. Because basically it says if you're going to pick the answer yes, then you're going to be wasting money. And no one likes to waste money. So in this type of question, if someone was asked this in a survey, alright, more people would want to say no. Okay, more people would say no. Okay, and that might not represent exactly how people feel about the skateboard park if they were asked this question right here, because it's misleading and it leads them to pick a certain answer. Alright, going in the one direction, going a certain way. Okay, question B, do you favor a new skateboard park? All right, is this biased? No. Okay, because basically it just asks the question very honestly, do you favor a new skateboard park? Yes or no? All right, so people will likely answer honestly. Okay, more people answer honestly. Okay, last question we have here. Studies have shown that having a safe place to go keeps kids out of trouble. Would you like to invest taxpayers' money to build a skate park? Is this question biased? Yes, it is. Okay, because it basically is telling people that the skate park is going to give a safe place for kids to go, and it uses the words like invest, so more people would say yes to this question. Okay, more people would want to say yes, we need a skate park if the question was asked this way. Okay, so it would lead more people to say yes compared to this first question where more people would say no. All right, so there's our first lesson in chapter 10. Kind of different, looking at different types of populations, different types of samples, and different types of questions. All right, don't forget to try this problem. It's going to ask you about some more bias, if you can pick it out or not, whether it's a sample or a question. And I'll see you guys next time in class, and we'll be taking a look at some more of these questions and samples. Thanks for watching.